Good day, everyone, especially to Sir Roy. We are the Group 5, and today we're going to talk about developmental theories. Before we start, we would like to introduce ourselves first. I'm Jasmine Marie Londerio.
I am Jiro Angelo G. Makapagal.
I am Giancarlo B. Miranda.
I am Jerwin C. Bakirin.
I'm CJ Batong Bakal.
And I'm Delphine Estero.
For our objectives, after studying this lesson, you will be able to familiarize with social and emotional development theories, understand how these theories affect learning, and explain the importance of these theories in planning of instruction.
Okay, developmental theory summary. Developmental theories explain how people grow, learn, and change throughout life. These theories help teachers and parents understand students' behavior and guide them in supporting each child's development.
First, Sigmund Freud, psychosexual theory. Freud believed that personality develops during childhood through 5 stages. Each focus on a pleasure area of body. Explain that if a person's child needs are not met or are overindulged at a certain age, they may become fixated, which can affect their personality and behavior in adulthood. Sabi dito ni Sigmund Freud na nabubuo daw ang personality ng tao habang bata pa lang siya at dumadaan sa 5 stages na nakapokus sa iba't ibang pleasure areas ng katawan kapag hindi natugunan o sobra naman na ang satisfaction sa isang stage, pwede ma-fixate ang bata, ibig sabihin maapektuhan ang personality ng paglaki niya. First stage, oral stage or 0 to 1 years old. During this stage, babies find comfort and satisfaction through activities involving mouth, such as sucking and feeding. Dito naman, nakikita natin na dito nakukuha ng baby ang comfort at saya sa pagsuso o pagkain. Mahalaga ito kasi dahil nabubuo ang tiwala at sense of security ng bata sa caregiver. Kapag hindi natugunan, pwedeng lumaki siyang dependent o laging naghahanap ng comfort. For example, kapag pinasuso o pinapainom ng gatas si baby, pag gutom o umiiyak, nakakaramdam siya ng safety at love mula sa kanyang nanay. Next. Second is anal stage, 1 years old to 3 years old. Dito, natututo ang bata ng control at discipline, lalo na sa pagdumi o pag-ihi. Kapag tinuruan siya ng maayos at pinuri, nagkakaroon siya ng sense of responsibility at orderliness. Pero kapag pinagalitan o pinilit, pwedeng lumaki siyang masyadong higpit o baliktad o sobrang magulo. For example, kapag tinuturuan siyang gumamit ng CR tapos pinupuri pag nagtagumpay, nagiging proud siya at natututong mag-control. Next. Phallic stage. Sa stage na to, nagiging aware ang bata sa gender niya at nagsisimulang gayahin ang parehong kasarian ng magulang. Dito, nade-develop ang identity at tamang social behavior. Kapag nagkaroon ng problema rito, pwedeng mahirapan siya sa pagbuo ng self-image o relasyon sa iba. Example, kapag ginagaya ng batang lalaki ang kanyang tatay sa pananamit o kilos, nagpapakita yon ng paghanga o pagbuo ng identity niya. Next. Latency stage, 6 years old to puberty. Medyo humihina na rito ang sexual feeling. Kaya mas nakatuon ang bata sa pag-aaral, kaibigan at hobbies. Dito nade-develop ang teamwork, discipline at confidence. For example, kapag nag-enjoy ang bata sa school at proud sa achievements niya, nagiging mas self-confident siya at marunong makisama. Next, last stage, genital stage, puberty to adulthood. Sa huling stage, natututo na ang tao kung paano magmahal ng mature, mag-handle ng relationship at mag-balance ng love, work at responsibility. Kapag ang health ang development, nagiging responsable at emotional stable adult siya. Example, kapag marunong siya magpakita ng respeto at care sa partner niya, ibig sabihin, naabot niya ang maturity na stage na ito.
Okay, next is, our second one is Erik Erikson Psychosocial Theory. So, si Erik Homburger Erikson ay isang developmental psychologist. Ibig sabihin, isa siyang eksperto na nag-aaral kung paano nagbabago at nade-develop ang tao mula sa pagkabata hanggang pagtanda. So, ayon kay Erikson, ang personality o pagkatao ng tao ay nade-develop habang tayo ay nabubuhay, hindi lang ng bata pa tayo. So, he explained that as we go through life, we face 8 psychosocial stages at sa bawat stage may conflict or challenge tayong kailangang malagpasan. Kapag nalagpasan natin ang bawat stage, nagkakaroon tayo ng virtue o magandang katangian. And now to discuss more about the first 4 stages of Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory, let me pass it on to CJ.
The first stage of Erik Erikson's theory is trust versus mistrust from birth to 18 months. So in this stage, the virtue developed is hope. If the needs of the baby is consistently met, they develop trust. Pero kapag hindi siya na consistently meet, they develop mistrust. Next. Next is the autonomy versus shame and doubt from 18 months to 3 years. The virtue developed here is will. So in this stage, a child develops either autonomy or confidence if supported in their attempts of independence, and shame or low self-esteem if not. Next. Next is the initiative versus guilt. The virtue developed here is purpose, the stage where the child learns to assert control and power over their environment. But if overly criticized, they may develop guilt in everything they do. Next. Stage 4, industry versus inferiority, from 6 to 11 years old. Yung virtue developed here is competence. In this stage, children develops the sense of competition. If a child is consistently praised and supported in their every hobbies and effort, they develop a sense of industry or confidence. But if a child experiences repeated failure and criticism, they develop inferiority.
Stage 5, identity versus role confusion, adolescence. So this stage happens during our teenage years, which means most of us can relate. So example, a student joins different clubs or explores hobbies to find out where they belong. That's part of building identity. Pero kung walang guidance o support, nagkakaroon ng role confusion o pagiging lost sa sarili. Ang virtue na na-develop dito is fidelity o katapatan sa sarili. Next. Stage 6, intimacy versus isolation, young adulthood. In this stage, people start building deep and meaningful relationships, not just romantic but also strong friendships. So, example, when someone learns to love sincerely and open up to others, that's intimacy. Pero kung takot magtiwala o mag-open up, nauuwi sa isolation o pagiging mag-isa. Ang virtue na na-develop is love. Next. Stage 7, generativity versus stagnation, adulthood. Now, in adulthood, people start focusing on helping others and being productive. They want to make a difference not just for themselves, but for the people around them. So example, a parent working hard for their family or a teacher mentoring students, that's generativity. Pero kung walang sense of purpose, they might feel stagnation o pakiramdam na walang silbi ang ginagawa nila. Ang virtue na na-develop dito is care. Next po. Stage 8, integrity versus despair, old age. So finally, we reach old age. Dito naman yung time na reflection. Example is, a lolo or lola who feels proud of their life and happy with their family experience integrity and peace. Pero kung puno ng sana ganito o regrets, Nakakaranas sila ng despair o kalungkutan. Ang virtue na develop dito is wisdom. So, ayan.
So, number 3 is Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory. So, Albert Bandura, 1925 to 2021, was a Canadian physiologist who developed the social cognitive theory, originally called social learning theory. He believes that people, especially children, learn by observing and imitating others. His Bobodal experiment shows that children can learn aggression by watching adults. The theory explained that learning happens in social environment and involves observation, imitation, reinforcement, punishment, and self-efficacy. So, Albert Bandura's theory explains that people learn by watching and imitating others. And he is also famous about his Bobodal experiment that we will tackle on the next slide. So, learning according to Bandura happens through social interaction or kung sa pakikisalamuha natin sa iba. And it also involves observation and imitation. Uh, it also involves rewards or punishments. Siya rin ay naniniwala sa sariling kakayahan o self-efficacy. Next, the Bobodal experiment. In this experiment, Bandura showed children a film of adults aggressively hitting, kicking, and shouting at a Bobodal. When the children later play with the Bobodal, many copied the same aggressive action, while those who not shown the film did not. This demonstrated that behavior can be learned through observation, proving how powerful role models are in shaping children's action. So, ang Bobodal experiment, pinapakita ni Bandura na natututo ang mga bata sa panonood, especially sa mga nakakatanda. Because after they watch the film and later on, they play with Bobodal and they copy the aggressive action of the adult that they watch. But somehow, yung ibang bata na hindi napanood yung film is hindi nila ginaya yung aggressive action ng mga matanda. And ipinapakita lang nito na natututo tayo sa paggaya or sa mga napapanood or naobserbahan natin. Lalong-lalo na sa mga mas nakakatanda sa atin na ating role model. Next. The next will be presented by Jerwin.
So, let's talk about reinforcement and punishment. Bandura explained that imitation can be strengthened or weakened through reinforcement and punishment. Reinforcement increases the likelihood of repeating a behavior when it results in positive outcomes. Example, a student who receives praise for submitting assignments on time will continue doing so. Next is punishment. Punishment decreases the likelihood of repeating a behavior when it leads to negative outcomes. For example, a child is scolded for drawing on the walls will avoid doing it again. So, sabi ni Bandura, ang paggaya ay maaaring tumibay o humina batay sa reinforcement at punishment. Ang reinforcement ay nagpapataas ng posibilidad na ulitin ang isang kilos kapag may magandang resulta. Tulad nga ng estudyanteng pinupuri dahil sa pag-submit ng assignments sa oras. Ang punishment naman ay nagpapababa ng posibilidad na ulitin ang kilos kapag ito ay may masamang resulta. Tulad nga ng last example na ang bata na pinagsabihan dahil sa pag-drawing sa pader kaya hindi niya na ito ginagawa ulit. Next. Next po. The next is self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the belief in one's own ability to perform a specific task and achieve a goal. People with high self-efficacy are more likely to take on challenges and persist through difficulties. For example, a student who believes they are capable in science will study harder and perform better in experiments and exam. So, ang self-efficacy ay paniniwala sa sariling kakayahan na kaya mong gawin ang isang gawain at maabot ang layunin. Ang mga taong may mataas na self-efficacy ay mas handang harapin ang mga hamon at hindi sila basta-basta sumusuko. Halimbawa nga, for example nga, yung ang estudyanteng naniniwala sa kanilang kakayahan sa science ay mas magsisikap at mas magaling sa exam at experiments. Next po.
Okay, the four meditational processes of observational learning. Number one is attention. Before learning occurs, the learner must first pay attention to the model. The behavior must be interesting or significant enough to catch the observation's focus. Without attention, imitation cannot happen. So, attention is when learner must first pay interest or curiosity to the model or person. Ibig sabihin, kapag ang isang bagay binibigyan mo ng attention, maaring interesado ka or curious ka about doon. Sabi pa rito, kapag hindi ka nagtuon ng attention sa isang bagay, ay mahihirapan kang gayahin ito or mahirap kang kopyahin. Example is, a student watches a teacher perform a fun and engaging science experiment. Because the demonstration captures their curiosity, the students pays close attention to the step and outcome. So, dahil nga ron sa fun and engaging science experiment is nagkaroon ng attention yung estudyante na panoorin yung experiment ng teacher. And also, they capture the curiosity of the student. So, they pay close attention more sa step by step and outcomes of the experiment. Number two is retention. After observing the behavior, the learner must remember what they saw. Retention involves storing the behavior in memory, so it can be reproduced later. So, retention is remembering what you saw or observing something. Sabihin nito is dapat maalala mo yung mga bagay na sinabi or ginawa kunwari ng isang tao na sa paraan na to is kapag tinanong ka or sinabi niya ulit yon is pwede mo maalala mo ulit. Example is the student remembers the step of the science experiment. Take notes and review the procedure so they can perform it later in class. So, dahil naalala nila yung step ng science experiment, nag-take notes sila and nag-review. So, madali na lang i-produce or madali nilang gawin ulit yon sa kanilang next class. Number three is reproduction. This process involves actual performing the observed behavior. The learner must have the physical ability, skills, and confidence or self-efficacy to produce the action. So, reproduction is when you're actually doing or performing the things that you have observed. Dito ay gagawin mo na mismo yung mga bagay na napakinggan or napanood o na-observe mo. Kunwari, example is, after watching a guitarist play, a learner practice the same chords and strumming patterns until they can play the song themselves. So, pinanood niya yung guitarist play and later on, practice with the same chords and strumming patterns. So, hanggang sa makuha niya na at magaya niya na yung nasa video. And for the last, number 4, motivation. Even if someone pays attention, remembers, and can reproduce the behavior, they won't do it unless motivated. Motivation is influenced by expected reward or consequence. So, motivation naman is when you do something kasi motivated ka. Dito is pwedeng dahil may reward or may consequence. Pero sa consequence na yan is pwedeng maging hindi maganda o yung resulta or pwede rin naman maging maganda or positive or negative. So example nito is, a positive example is, a student sees their classmate praise for studying regularly. So they become motivated to do the same for better grades. So dahil pinraise ng teacher yung classmate nila and nakita nila yon, tapos regularly nag-aaral yung classmate nila, ginaya nila yon at ginawa nila yung motivation para magkaroon din sila ng better grades. So, sa negative naman, another student sees their friend get punished for cheating. So, they avoid copying others during tests. So, nakita nila yung friends nila na nangopya during tests and the teacher punish their classmate and so, inavoid nila yung copying para maiwasan din nilang mapunish gaya ng classmate nila.
Next is John Bowlby's attachment theory. So, John Bowlby was a British psychologist na nagsasabi na mahalaga ang maagang ugnayan ng bata at tagapag-alaga para sa maayos. Ayon sa kanya, ikas sa bata ang kumapit o ikas sa kanya na kumapit o maghanap ng tao na magbibigay sa kanya ng safety, comfort, at love. Kapag wala sa kaalagaan ng bata, matututo siyang magtiwala. Pero kung kulang sa kasanayan, maaari siyang magkaroon ng problema emosyonal at sa pakikitungo sa iba. So, sa theory na to, merong 4 stages. So, first stage is pre-attachment stage, first to 6 weeks. At this stage, infants do not show a preference for specific people and will respond to anyone who provides care. Ginagamit nila ang pag-iyak at pagngiti para makuha ang atensyon ng matatanda. Sa ganitong paraan, unti-unti nabubuo ang emotional na pagkakatawagan. For example, a newborn smiles or calms down when picked up by an adult. But frequent care from the same person starts to build a special bond. So, next is attachment in the making stage, 6 weeks to 7 months. Sa yugtong ito, nakikilala na ng mga sanggol ang kanyang pangunahing tagapag-alaga at mas gusto niya na ito kaysa sa iba. Nagsisimula rin siyang magtiwala at matutunan ang kanyang mga kilos tulad ng pag-iyak o pagngiti ay may epekto sa paraan ng pagtugon ng mga tao sa kanya. For example, a baby smiles more at their mother and feels relaxed when she holds them, showing that attachment is forming. Next. Next. So, sa third stage po is clear-cut attachment stage, 7 to 24 months. Sa yugtong ito, mas tumitibay at nagiging malinaw ang attachment ng bata sa tagapag-alaga. Nalulungkot o nag-aalala siya kapag umaalis ito at hinahanap niya ang kanyang pag-aaruga at ginhawa kapag bumabalik. For example, a 1-year-old cries when their mother leaves the room but immediately hugs her when she comes back, showing emotional attachment and trust. Okay, next po, last stage is formation of reciprocal relationship, 24 months and beyond. Habang lumalaki ang bata at natututo magsalita at mag-isip, mas nagiging maayos ang relasyon nila sa tagapag-alaga. Naiintindihan na ng bata na aalis muna sa tagapag-alaga pero babalik din siya. For example, a 3-year-old understand when their mother says she's going to work and happily greets her when she returns home. So, ayun lang po. That's all. Thank you.